Update. My boyfriend called me selfish for wanting him to leave his boys' night early due to me grieving. Where do I go from here? Original post. I, 25 female, have been in a relationship with my boyfriend for 4 years, 27 male. Our relationship has been very good for the most part. Some fights here and there, but nothing worth noting until a week ago. I got a call from my brother telling me my mom had passed away last Friday. Growing up, I was never super close with her. We were usually fighting, but over the last 5 years, our relationship improved tremendously. We'd text throughout the week, and every Sunday, I would go on 4 to 5 hour drives with her on speaker to keep me company, talking about anything and everything under the sun. She became my best friend. For context, my boyfriend knows how close we had gotten and had even joined me for some of those drives. Now is the problem. My boyfriend has a fairly close group of friends that he keeps up with, usually gaming with them throughout the week. Then once a month, he and his friends will hang out and drink. He let me know a few days prior that he would be hanging out with them that Friday. When I got the news, I immediately called him, breaking down and telling him I didn't know what to do and that I knew I needed to be with him that night. He went from consoling me to saying, "I let you know a few days ago I have plans with my friends. I only get to see them once a month." I told him I understood, but I really needed him, and I was sure they would reschedule. To which he said they definitely wouldn't be able to, as they all have their own responsibilities. After some more time going back and forth, I gave in and said I would be okay with him going as long as he left early. Since he leaves at 7 p.m., I said I would like for him to come back by 11. He agreed. I spent the night going through texts with her, photos, everything I could. I tried to distract myself with other things, but nothing worked. Eventually, 10 p.m. rolled around, and I texted my boyfriend, "Will you be leaving in an hour?" To which he responded, "You told me 12, so I'll be leaving then." I told him I said 11, and I was standing by that. He didn't respond after and came home at 12. I asked him why he didn't reply and why he didn't just come back an hour earlier. He immediately got upset with me, telling me I was being selfish for ruining his night with his friends, that him spending an extra hour there means nothing since he still left early, and that I would be fine since I didn't spend my childhood with her anyways. I told him I didn't even want him to go out with them that day to begin with, since I had just gotten the news. But I agreed to it under that specific condition, and so had he. He could also just catch up with his friends when they game during the week. The fight ended with him telling me I was again being selfish, as he doesn't get to see them in person often, and that I shouldn't expect him to drop everything for me. We've been fairly cold to each other since, which has left me overthinking and reevaluating our relationship. On one hand, I am extremely heartbroken he wasn't there for me and know that's not something I want for my future. But on the other hand, his words have definitely gotten to me, and I feel bad for separating him from his friends. I also know it would break me more to lose someone else so close to me. Where do I go from here? Now for the top comments before reading the update. If my mother passed away and my partner didn't come home from being with his friends, that would be it for me. He's trying to tell you what he did wasn't bad because he told you it was happening. You weren't close with her in childhood and is genuinely trying to make it your problem. You're grieving, and your boyfriend of 4 years doesn't think it's a big deal? Create a plan and end this relationship. He is totally Darvoing her. OP Darvo is shorthand for classic abuser responses. It stands for deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Your boyfriend did all of them. He denied that he agreed to come home at 11. He attacked you for asking him for emotional support, and then made himself the victim of your demands, instead of letting you be the child who just lost her mother and needs emotional support. OP, get out now. This is a man who will always choose his needs over yours. Only thing I'd change is that he wouldn't just choose his needs over hers, he'd choose his wants over her needs. Sounds like the boys are more important to him than his girlfriend and her intense grief. My wife would have filed for divorce the next day if I went out with friends after her mother passed last year. Agreed. I was with a really crappy guy, but when my grandma passed and I was grieving, it was the first time I couldn't make excuses for him being selfish. What kind of person abandons their grieving partner for something insignificant? and then further burdens them by picking fights because it isn't about them for once? No amount of low self-esteem on my end allowed the mental gymnastics required to make that sound okay. It's just unbelievably crappy. Like, actually difficult to believe that someone could drop the ball this hard for someone they even kind of care about. Imagine if OP got sick or was pregnant and needed help. I'd be terrified to put my hypothetical child's needs in the hands of someone who can't come home an hour early from boys' night because his long-term girlfriend's mother died that freaking day. I'd be tempted to call it rage bait if I hadn't lived it. There really are people like this. Not just me, by the way. My friends have also had experiences dating people who are bewilderingly out of touch. Like, my best friend's ex tried to dirty talk to her and initiate sex to comfort her when she was going through something difficult and asking for support. Then, if she didn't engage, he'd get pissy and say, "Well, that's what makes me happy, so I was helping you," and then abandon her and try to guilt her. I think a lot of people are really selfish and emotionally unintelligent. Now for the update. I want to start off by saying thank you so much to everyone who commented. I spent a good while reading every single comment, so for everyone who gave me advice and shared their stories, please know I am extremely grateful for you. I also really appreciate everyone who gave me their condolences. Now for the update. A little while after posting, one of my boyfriend's friends reached out to me. He asked me if I had posted it, because if I did, he had something to tell me. I said yes, and he told me that before my boyfriend left their boys' night, he had started complaining about me to everyone there, telling them I was being a psycho and forcing him to leave. He completely lied about my relationship with my mom and told them I wasn't close with her at all, rarely talked to her, and that anytime I mentioned her, I did nothing but crap talk to her. He said I was using her death as a way to control him. I also learned that throughout our entire relationship, he'd tell his friends about every fight of ours and, again, would completely lie about everything that happened in them. For context, I am not close with any of his friends, and he had apparently told them I was faking my personality whenever I interacted with them, and crap-talked them when they weren't around as well. Ironic. So I don't necessarily blame them for believing it. The only reason his friend reached out was because my boyfriend had done the same thing in past relationships, and he was starting to get suspicious and tired of it. I confronted my boyfriend about it afterwards, and he denied everything for a while before ultimately admitting to it all. He started crying, saying he doesn't know why he's like this, but that he loves me and can't live without me. Anything and everything you can think of. I packed whatever I could and told him I needed time to think. I'd be staying with my brother in the meantime, as I had to drive out to go to my mom's funeral and go through her things. For the few who asked if I had another support system, my family lives a few states away, as my boyfriend and I started out long distance, and I moved away from them a couple of years ago for him. The few new friends I made are away traveling for the summer, which I couldn't join for numerous reasons. I also couldn't get out of bed for the majority of the week, so I didn't leave sooner. What he didn't know at the time was that I didn't need time to think. I had already decided I would not be coming back. As I said in my original post, there was nothing awful worth noting about him during our relationship. He didn't treat me exceptionally well, but not terribly either. So, prior to his friend reaching out, I genuinely didn't know what to think of the situation. To me, it was out of character for him. My main thought was that the news of her passing might have hurt him a lot as well, and he didn't know how to handle it. But I now know that he was an entirely different person with his friends, and what was out of character for me was completely in character for them. It definitely scares me to think of what would have happened if I hadn't posted and never learned the things he was saying when I wasn't around. I also have no clue what I'd do if another life-changing event happened and he put something else above being there for me. So, to everyone who wanted an update, just know I have completely removed him from my life. No amount of tears and fake apologies will convince me otherwise. He wasn't there when I needed him, and that's enough. But the lying and fake stories he'd share on top of that is terrifying. I know my mom would rip me a new one if she heard all of this and I did anything other than leave him. I will always be grateful for this little corner of the internet and the awful future it saved me from. Your mom would be so proud of you, OP. I wish you peace in your grief. There are a whole bunch of people rooting for you. He made OP move to isolate her. So glad she made the right decision. Lying to his friends about his girlfriend to make her seem annoying and crazy is also a way of isolating, since if she needed help, none of his friends would believe her. What he said about her is a red flag times 1,000. Good for you. So many people post here about awful partners and toxic relationships and then cannot find the courage to get out. You'll meet someone who deserves you. Next story. Fiancé is allergic to cats, but proposed to me knowing I have 4 cats and is now saying he had hoped I'd rehome them. What do we do now that we are facing living together? So, as the title states, I, 33 female, am looking for some help here. My fiancé, 34 male, proposed in April of this year after about 1 year together. During this time, we have lived in separate homes. I have lived in a rental for the past 8 years, and he recently bought a fixer-upper home. I have had 4 cats for the past 13 years. I didn't necessarily willingly choose to have 4 cats, but long story short, I ended up with a mom and her 3 kittens and have raised them for the last 13 years. Anyone that knows me knows my cats have become my trusted companions. Over the past year and a half together, my fiancé would stay at my house. He has never had a bad reaction, with the exception of one time when we were sitting on the floor doing a craft and he got watery and itchy eyes. So anyway, on to now. We had decided after the engagement to fix up his home and live there since he owns the home. I have been helping remodel the house. I was very anxious about leaving my safe space at first, but my fiancé kept telling me to think of the positive things, such as my cats getting to lay in the bay window, etc. Now, during renovations, he had an electrician come, and the electrician left drywall dust in his wake that my fiancé had a bad reaction to. My fiancé then started saying that he was unsure he could live with cats, and this whole situation has now completely spiraled. I said I was comfortable making accommodations such as a cat-free bedroom, air purifiers, and frequent vacuuming. It will be hardwood floors, and he has a Roomba. But he is still nervous and unsure. He told me he spoke to someone before proposing, and this someone told him that I should choose him over the cats, and that it hurts that I am not. I am just sort of baffled at all of this. He knew I had the cats. He proposed, suggested moving in, etc. I can't help but feel like the rug is being pulled out from under me. I don't know what to do at this point. I am certainly willing to take his health into consideration. Does this mean living separately? That would be unfortunate, but perhaps doable. Getting a separate living space, such as a cat house for the back of his house for them? I don't know, but I'm just looking to see what other people think. Am I being inconsiderate for not agreeing to rehome them? Please do not give up your cats. This man knows you have cats, proposed to you, and then told you that you need to choose him over the cats. That's so insanely manipulative. Your poor cats will be so upset and confused if you give them away. This doesn't even sound like he's allergic to cats, more like he just doesn't like them. Has he done anything to mitigate his allergies? Taken allergy medicine, etc.? They honestly sound so mild. Has he ever seemed interested in the cats at all? Even if he's allergic, I would expect him to still be emotionally invested in them, like buying treats, toys, knowing their names, their cute antics. So he had no issues with your cats until he got an allergic reaction to drywall dust. That makes no sense at all. You're not being inconsiderate for not agreeing to rehome them. The fact that he isn't trying to compromise at all and you're bending over backwards to compromise, does this happen a lot in your relationship? Also, why is he taking the opinion of someone else that you should be picking him over your cats as fact? That person isn't part of your relationship. Lastly, you are putting a lot of time and energy, hopefully not money, into fixing up a property that you don't own. Be careful with this, especially if you are putting money into it. If you get married, get your name on the deed. I can't express how important that last paragraph is. I got married and helped my ex-husband knock down and rebuild his house into his dream home. I paid more than half of the home equity line of credit and bought him a car. He never put my name on the deed, and when I left, his crappy $150,000 home was worth over $600,000. I left with $50,000 in my pocket, and that was only because he started a business while we were married and I was entitled to half. So that was a payoff. P.S. Tell him to buy some Benadryl. Last story. My girlfriend said I was cruel for getting angry when she said she wouldn't go to my mother's funeral with me. Last year, my mom was diagnosed with cancer. It had spread quite far, and unfortunately, treatment was unsuccessful. She passed away 2.5 weeks ago, and her funeral was at the beginning of this week. I, 29 male, spoke to my girlfriend, 27 female, about the funeral and mentioned her going with me. She said she couldn't make it as she had a presentation at work and some work to hand over. I asked if she was seriously putting a work presentation over supporting me. She said she couldn't do anything, but I pointed out she could explain to her manager why she needed the day off. She could put annual leave in or use paid sick leave. She said I was being unfair and that I'd still have my family there, so it shouldn't be a big deal. I told her partners are supposed to support each other when the other partner needs support. She said I was guilt-tripping her and that she wouldn't be going. The day of the funeral came and she didn't go. Throughout the day, I realized I don't want to be with someone who won't do the bare minimum. When I got home, she asked how things went, and I told my girlfriend we were over. She said I was taking my grief out on her and that she hadn't done anything wrong. How would you handle this? There's no way I'd leave my significant other to go to a funeral of their parent without me and vice versa. We would absolutely be there to support each other, regardless of work. Last month, my partner and I flew across the country to attend his uncle's funeral. We were in his hometown for 30 hours and then flew back to get to work on Monday. It was important to my partner to have me there, so I was there. If there isn't a major financial or health reason why someone can't do the same for their partner, then that's just the way it should be. I could possibly see her work event as being important enough to her future career success to bow out of the funeral maybe, but her attitude around him wanting her to be there is the real problem in my opinion. If I couldn't go, you can bet I'd be supporting him in every other possible way, but she just sounds like she doesn't get it or doesn't care. Either is a good reason to end the relationship. This is a completely reasonable justification for leaving someone. One of the worst possible major life events has just happened to you, and she couldn't be bothered to miss one day of work to be there for you. If she doesn't care at the most crucial times, she won't care any other time. You deserve better, and I'm sorry for your loss.